Alrighty, we're going to add an outlet here by a window so that the business can plug in their wireless router from the T-Mobile network for the Wi-Fi. And if you look closely, you can see that the outlets are made here in the country I was born in. That's a nice thing to see. So we'll come into this bottom knockout here. And this cable has a pre-built bushing in it, and I'll show you how it goes in. You put your wires in through the bottom of the box here. And you just push it in until you hear these little barbs snap. You just work it back and forth and you can see how those little barbs snapped on the inside there. Now down on this end, we'll get ready to come out of this box down here. Alright, so let's get ready to start coming out of this box down here. Just make sure circuit is off. Okay, so we're going to out of this box here. Just put those snaps in here. And now we can start using our straps here. And we'll fasten our MC cable to the wall. try to get one in here. If I go at this angle here, I might be able to hit something. There, I hit something solid. Let's get another one in here at an angle. Let's see if that grabbed nice and tight. Okay, so we'll get our wire ready to go here. So we gotta put our green screw in the back of the box, and we'll pigtail our ground wires together. So skin a piece of our green wire here to make our tail. It's going to go up to we're going to bond to our box here with this piece. Our loop closed around the screw direction our screw turns. And this will be our pigtail wires that go to each outlet. And we'll get our wires, get our insulation lined up here at the bottom. Like that there. And wires are all even on the end and our copper is even on the end. So we'll take our red wire nut and we'll just start turning it. Now I hold the tails so they all stay even as I'm twisting it. See how one came out? So it's better to twist them. And I clip them so they're even with the shortest one here. And now when I put this wire nut on, I'll grab all the wires. I'm not squeezing on this wire nut, I'm just turning it so it's nice and tight. So we can get our ground wires back into our box here. I'll make them a little longer. Okay, so now I'll get our blacks and whites together here. So I'll cut here, cut here. I'll come down like this between our two score marks. Take the screws out of our outlet. And I'll close the screws we're not using so that they are out of the way, so they don't touch something we don't want them to touch. Here in the country I was born in, our outlets are polarized. See, one side is wider than the other. The brass screw goes to the narrow slot, which would be the black wire, or the red or the blue. White, which is neutral, goes on the silver colored screw, which is the wider slot. And of course the green or the bare ground wire goes on this green screw, and that's this U-shaped slot. So I make my loop so our insulation's even here at the end. And I'll close my loop around the screw like this. Make sure it's nice and tight, like that. Now I can slide that insulation down a little bit. It's a little long, so I'll just grab here and I'll just... There, now it's down to where I want it. I'll flip it around. We'll get our white on our silver colored screw here. Then we'll make our loop the direction our screw is going to turn and get our insulation to line up evenly here on the two sides like that. And we'll get our white wire under this silver colored screw here. We'll close our loop the direction our screw turns. Make sure it's nice and tight. We have to break these plaster ears off here. one green wire around our ground screw here. Make sure it's tight. I'm going to have to close this loop again on a ground screw because when I moved it around it opened the loop up a little bit. Okay, so there's our first outlet hooked up. We'll turn it around. So now we'll hook our second outlet up here. We'll break all our tabs off so it's easier to do than with them on. We'll close the screws we're not going to be using. We'll make sure our insulation doesn't get pinched under the screw head. Make sure it's nice and tight and our insulation is not pinched under our screw head. We'll put our green wire on the green screw. Make sure it's nice and tight. Now we'll flip it down this way. And we'll get our black wire over here onto our brass colored screw. There we are. Now we'll get our outlets together here. And we'll shape our wires to go into our box so that everything's all goes in without any force. Now this cover comes with the nuts on the back to screw it into our cover plate. So we'll set our cover on here like this. Our first one in here. Make sure it's tight. Make sure it's tight. And I'll just tighten it up. Make sure it's tight. Make sure it's tight. So now I'll just make sure our wires don't get pinched back in here anywhere. Make sure these screws aren't going to hit any of our wires. Okay, everything looks good in here. So we can screw our cover onto the box. tight. Tight. So now we'll go down, hook up into our outlet where the power is. Okay, so this is the outlet we're hooking up to. We have our ground wire, our black, which is live, and our white, which is neutral. So we'll just go into these wire nuts so we don't have to take these outlets apart. And our third one down in here. Hey, we got them all perfectly even right on the end here. So we can just go and put our wire nut back on here. Our insulation even at the bottom here. Twist it in so it's even. And then I'll take my cutter here, cut it so it's even with the shortest one. Like that there. All three of our wires are even on the end. And take our wire nut, make sure our insulation is going up into the bottom of that wire nut there. Get back into our box out of our way here. Get our black ones up here. And we'll clip them so they're even with the shortest one here. See how they're nice and even? We'll take our wire nut, make sure all our insulation goes up into the bottom of the wire nut there. See how I got a nice even twist behind here? Alright, so now we can fold our wires to go into our box again the way we pulled them out. So push our blacks and our wires off. I gotta keep this ground wire down here at the bottom so it stays away from everything. We're going to put it over this way. I want to make sure I get these ground wires in a position where they stay down away from everything, so I'm going to fold it over this way. There, our ground wires are going to stay down on the bottom, and our black and whites aren't going to get pinched against anything. I'm going to push this ground wire back away from everything here. So I'm going to just fold our wires down so that they don't get pinched on anything. We don't want them to get pinched on here. And make sure our ground wire is going to stay down away from everything. And it's going to fit into our box the way we want it. I'm just going to push on the ground wires here to push them back so they're out of our way. Carefully so I don't hit our insulating conductors. Push this one down. There we go. If I can't find that other screw, I'll just go grab another one. You don't get all upset over it. It rolled away, it rolled away. You don't get all upset. It's not going to help you. It's not up here, it's not up here, but this time it happens to be up here. It doesn't go in, it doesn't go in. That's one thing I hate about these flathead screws. It's easy to slip. If you go into the box and puncture a wire, you have a problem. You got to go back to ground zero and start over. So I'm just going to make sure none of our screws are hitting anything. So the trying to see the best I can, and what I can't see, I can't see, but what I can see, I can see. So I'll be thankful for what I can see and not complain about what I can't see. We can put our cover back on. But I'm going to get my other flashlight and look and make sure no wires are pinched anywhere. Okay, so I'll just take my flashlight, make sure that screw's not hitting any wires. That one's not hitting. That one's not hitting anything. That one's not hitting anything up here. That one's not hitting anything. And that corner screw, that's not hitting anything. And our ground wire is down away from everything. I'm just going to make sure nothing's forced. Nothing is forced. I'll just push this ground wire down a little bit more. There's no conductors next to that, so. So everything is all good. We can stick our cover back on. Getting mad's not going to make it go on. Oh, I see what the problem is. The wire nut with the ground wires on it is in the way. So we have to take this off. And maybe we'll just have to take that wire nut off and not have a wire nut on those ground wires. We can eliminate that wire nut on the ground wires there. And I'll show you how to do that. We'll just eliminate this ground wire nut. So what we can use instead is a crimp sleeve here on our ground wires. But unfortunately my crimping tool got stolen and I don't have one, so instead of getting all flabbergasted and frustrated, I'm going to take them off and I'm going to use a Wago. A Wago will go in there easily. You just don't frustrate over things you don't have. Be thankful for what you do have. And just do the best you can. That's all you can do, the best you can. So we'll clip this a little shorter here. put it in. Make sure our copper is coming up to the top, and we'll straighten these ends out. Make sure the copper is coming up to the top. Okay, so our copper is coming up to the top here. And now everything will all fit in here the way we want it to. If it doesn't fit, there's a hammer I can use and just smash it and be done with it. So I refuse to get upset. I refuse to carry on and frustrate over stuff you can't help. This can come up a little bit more over here. Okay, that screw's not hitting anything. Our ground wires are down away from everything here. Let's push this one down a little bit more. That wire nut's not forward. That one's not pinched. That wire nut's not forced. Our ground wires are down away from everything here. Let's push this one back over here. You know, I'll just double check all our screws again, make sure they're not hitting any wires. That one's not hitting. That one's not hitting. That one's not hitting, and that one's not hitting. That corner screw's not hitting anything over here. And that one's not hitting anything over there, so we are all in good shape now. Let's make sure they're tight. Now we put our cover back on here. Okay, you can see the chart here telling you about the polarity, and if both orange lights light, it means it's hooked up properly, and if the red one is lit, it's hooked up backwards. And it will tell you if the outlet is not grounded. So we'll go flip the breaker on and you can see those lights. And we'll just check our other one. Alrighty, so that is how to add an outlet here in the country I was born in using MC cable. We use a 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps for commercial wiring. Black is live, white is neutral, the bare or the green is the ground. Red and blue are also live colors. However, you may find white live in a 110, 120 volt circuit on a switch loop or on a 220, 240 volt circuit where the appliance does not require a neutral. Peace. Thanks for watching.